So it's been so long since we've done this, but I figured it's high time we just looked at the garden, because, you know, it's starting to get a bit exciting. You could show them the bulbs. Okay then, let's start with the bulbs, because given it's April, there's obviously not heaps going on in most of our gardens, but the one thing we really do have is our spring bulbs. Most of the daffodils have now passed. They're the first of our spring bulbs to come up. We've still got a few over in the fence bed, but the next lot coming up for us now are some of the tulips. Although, not all of them, because they all flower at different times. Do I have any daffodils left at all, actually? Not really. So at the minute, the big thing with the tulips is our orange monarchs. And we've got some in the fence bed, some in the beer garden, and there might even be some out front. Let's go that way and I'll show you them. The fence bed. This has changed over the years. Used to be tiny and we've kind of expanded it. Some of the plants, like my gorgeous schemia, which are my favourites, they've been here for a while. But I was to show you the tulips. Orange monarchs, we've got a big pile of them here, which are currently being swamped by Kate Sestrantia. Most of the daffodils have passed, but there's lots of little things in this bed. We've we've planted, I don't know what's new. There's a couple of new anemones. There's a white one there and a red one there. I don't know if you can see anemone. Doop, doop, doop. That's my bit. Okay. What else is new? Oh look, there's some daffodils left. They're not all dead. But yeah, so there's not heaps of bulbs shown in here yet, just the orange monarchs. But they're spotted all over the garden, so let's go to the beer garden at the back. This is probably where these guys look the best, because tulips and other spring bulbs look absolutely the best when you've got them all in a clump and you've got lots of them. Now, there is a set of tulips in here still to come up, and they're the white ones with the kind of purple ripple through them. They come up next month usually. So just now it's all that excitement as we wait to see what's coming back. We've also got heaps in this bed. What else in here is cool? I don't know if you can see this on camera, because these guys, the blossoms are pale pink. Now I always refer to these as our cherry trees. They're not actually cherry trees, they're actually flowering almonds, although they're decorative, they're not given as almonds. But it's because they kind of look like cherries, it's easier for me to kind of say cherries. But they're just starting to have all their blossoms open, and it's quite exciting. These old guys always look amazing. So yeah, we're just waiting on that. Yeah, that's cool. There are a few changes here that we will come back to in a minute, because there's a lot of changes I want to tell you about. But I'm going to show you some more bulbs first. And they're over there. Yeah, it's the ones you saw a minute ago, but let's talk about them. They were here, but we moved them. Now there's a few different bulbs in this bit. In fact, specifically, there's a few different tulips. The very, very first tulips we ever planted in this garden, 12 years ago, these are some of them here, and they've now passed, but there were a few of what we call rhubarb and custard dotted around, and they've gone now. They're the earliest to flower every single year. These guys, normally awesome. These are little Red Riding Hoods. They're quite small red ones. Normally they would have flowered by now. We've had nothing this year. We struggled a bit, or they struggled a bit last year as well. I overplanted a bit heavily and the bulbs struggled to come through, and I think that has stunted them a bit. I'll give them one more year and see if they flower next year. If not, I'll have to replace them. But first thing you might see in here, these are called Pink Wonder daffodils, which I don't really understand because there is no pink on them, but they are lovely. But this is the little bowl kind of pot that used to be up at the shed, and it's also got these gorgeous pink impression tulips. Smooth. They're just fabby. So you can see there's quite a lot of that there, there's some there, but just about to open. Do you see the red tinges on some? So this is the next lot to come out. These ones here. Another couple of weeks I think and these will start looking awesome. And that's the awesome thing, spring bulbs. this early in the year when there's not a lot going on, these guys are just fab, and they'll make any really dull spot in your garden suddenly just zing with colour. I've just been distracted. I don't think you're going to be able to see this on camera. Another first. That is the very first aphid of this season. So, he's gone. New ones for this year, we've got extra amounts of muscari or grape hyacinth. It's these gorgeous little blue and purple guys here, but I've got heaps over there as well. So both of these planters have heaps of these little guys. These are actually favourites of mine, and true to form, one day when I wasn't feeling quite so excited and things were just feeling a bit bare, Kate came back from B&Q with a big pack of things like this that were all on special, just to cheer me up, and they do. It still looks awesome out here, and it is brilliant to have this colour out at the front of the house, but regular viewers will notice there's a lot less in the way of bulbs here this year than there have been in previous years. Bit disappointing, but first thing was a change from we originally had all of our bulbs in pots along here. And then the next year we changed it up and we made these awesome planters, which is brilliant, and it gives us much more growing space. It holds much more soil for the plants, it's better for the plants, and it looks cooler. But we also have a massive issue in our garden, especially out front, and that is neighbourhood wildlife like to use any bare patches of ground as a toilet. Unfortunately, the planters didn't really have much in them other than the bulbs. So that little spell when they were quite empty, they got hammered by the local cats and foxes and things. Which meant it got a bit of a state, and Kate and I had to basically empty them completely and replace all the soil and put the bulbs back in. So I think that's what's caused a bit of a poor show this year. Everything that's up is actually way smaller than normal, and there's a lot that doesn't look like it's going to come to anything at all. Bit disappointing, but it's fixable. We can plant heaps more bulbs so that next spring it looks awesome again. So yeah. Don't forget to tell them about all the things that we've changed. Yeah, okay, I'm just about to do that. That was my lead in. Okay, let's talk about some of the other changes, because one of them kind of ties up nicely with the discussion there about, shall we say, local neighbourhood wildlife. I don't know how obvious this is going to be on camera, but we have quite a lot of what we call chuckies. Basically, it's these little pebbles or stones or grit. So you can see along the front, we've got some lavenders that we planted last year. We made this border, and we've got stones in there because, again, wherever there's a bare patch, we've got animals are using it as a toilet. Again, here, it's not the white stuff in this shrubbery, we call it, but it's for the same reason. It's just to stop it being used as a toilet. But it's also a decorative mulch, so it acts like any other mulch and helps to stop too much evaporation from the soil, which then helps with your watering and looks after the plants. We added it on the rockery the other year just to try and make things pop a bit more, but we've added another batch in the beds in front of the house. So first of the two changes out here then is this stuff. So it's just white pebbles really, but again it's for that reason of we're covering over what was bare, because it's under all these shrubs and stuff, so it's not really a great place for planting smaller plants. They tend to get mugged, and you can see there's random allium leaves and stuff and they just look poorly. We've discovered it just doesn't do well. So it's all been covered, and that seems to be helping and stopping the animals using it as a toilet. But last winter specifically, we got an exceptionally long cold spell. We do get cold spells here, and we do get very cold days for us. So that's usually about a -8 is the coldest we would normally get here for our garden. But over the winter, we got an entire week of that. And the plants just aren't used to that here. We don't plant for that type of hardiness because we've never had to before. But it did mean we've lost quite a few plants that just didn't survive that period. Not just us, but loads of our neighbours did, and I know lots of you guys did. So this is a change. This is where our big osteopermums used to live. We've got one here and one over there, and both of them were just killed off completely. So we've replaced them with these guys. And our choice was, we wanted something that was evergreen. We don't want just bare twigs. We want something that will give us some interest over winter even. So even if it's not flowering, this guy keeps its leaves, and it's a nice dark leaf, so it contrasts with the camellia there and stuff. It's just a nice contrast. But also, gorgeous white flowers at the minute. And you know I like this type of thing because I've just told you how I love my schemia, and it's the same sort of flower. So we've got one on either side. So, 2 new viburnums. Just a short hop that way is the next change that will then lead us to the next change. I know I keep saying regular viewers will, but it's just the reality of when we do these tour videos. It's the folk that have been watching for a while that start to see the changes and recognise things. And this is the next bit. This is head of our driveway. This actually is a station that Kate built that hides our wheelie bins, so it's nice and attractive. But there used to be 2 of these guys. This is a spotted laurel. There used to be 2 of these guys in this planter. But we've actually moved one because another plant that just did not make it through that cold snap was our phormium. And it sounds like a lot of folk have had issues this year. The phormiums didn't make it with the cold. So we had to replace one that was out back. And we decided we didn't want to go and buy new plants. So we had a look at what we already had that would work in that space. So let me show you where it is and I'll explain why we moved this guy. Oh, and yeah, if you're wondering why there's another planter appeared here with some bricks in it, that's just some black plastic covering the soil because Kate's going to sow poppies here probably later today actually, and that was just keeping it warm. And cat toilet, yeah, not our cats though. This is where the phormium was last year, and it just didn't make it. But the thing with this spot is that it's pretty much in permanent shade. It doesn't really get any good light at all, so it doesn't get any direct light at all, and it doesn't get a lot of indirect light either. So we needed to find a plant that would be okay in these kinds of conditions. And apparently this guy will be. And you know the funny thing? I really wasn't a fan. We had them at the head of the drive and I didn't really like them. And I don't know if any of you guys do this, but you know how you ever notice that the plants you don't like and you try and kill so that you can replace them without feeling guilty? Those are the ones that won't die. But the funny thing is, I really like it here. So I think it was just a case that that plant was in the wrong place. And here, it looks awesome. It's bright. It's interesting. I mean, look at that foliage. It's evergreen, so we're always going to have that foliage in a little dark spot. It has these awesome red berries, and it flowers. But that's it. That's the flowers. They're really, really small. But you know, it's interest all the time. And you know, because it's Kate, she shoved a couple of little hellebores underneath that weren't doing too well because we put them at the end and they were in too much sun. So she shoved them here. So hopefully this is going to look awesome next year. So yeah, so that's one of the changes. And there you are. We're going back this way because there's some more changes that I want to show you back here. I hinted at earlier, but let's do it properly. Come on. So last year, one of the most exciting, colourful, fabulous monthly garden tour videos I did was actually April. And unfortunately, the reason for that was because this entire fence behind me was just covered in the most beautiful white blossom from our clematis. But, and we said this at the time, we had a feeling that was its last hurrah. Shortly after that, it had been looking so amazing, the plant just died. So we've had to make a wee bit of a change here. The first one is we've replaced the clematis. So we've got another one, the exact same one. It's called Avalanche, But obviously it's a brand new plant, so it's quite small, and it'll take a few years for it to fill in and fill this up. But we've added another 2 plants here as well for a bit of a contrast in colour and a contrast in foliage. Again, they're evergreen, so they're going to give us something to look at here all through the year. So come in and I'll show you them. So 2 of them, and it is this. I'll get the name wrong, probably Chianthus, but again, it's evergreen, so we're always going to have something to see. It's variegated foliage, which means it's this kind of 2 different colours, and it flowers little purple flowers. So we're hoping it won't take too long for it to spread and cover this area as well. And between the purple flowers and white flowers and the variegated and dark green leaves, it shouldn't be too long, it'll be looking awesome here again. I also changed the herb bed. Our herb bed used to be over at the back door, which is a good place for your herb bed because, you know, it was near the kitchen. But as I mentioned, that whole area doesn't get much light at all. In fact, it only gets maybe a couple of hours daylight a day. So we've moved them. Now this, again, it's a regular viewer thing, guys, sorry. Next year you'll be the ones that are smirking because you're the regular viewers. But we've tried lots of different things in this. We've been giving it a try out over the last few years, and we've yet to find the right thing to grow in here. Now the reason being, where it is, this little bit here doesn't get a whole heap of direct light. So it gets the morning light and it gets a little bit of light in early afternoon, but then it's shaded by the shed. So we tried strawberries in here and it was a disaster. We didn't get any strawberries at all. The plants grew, they looked fantastic, just didn't fruit. So we've moved them out and we're now trying it for some of our herbs because, you know, herbs were grown for the greenery. We're not expecting them to fruit or flower, so it should be okay. We've got standard chives. You guys know I love my chives. Even more so, hello Mr. B. Even more so, I love when these guys flower. I let them flower because they look stunning. And I used to really enjoy taking photos and filming through them when they flowered, when they were over there, because it set the garden up looking gorgeous. And also, the flowers are fabby in things like potato salad. They look brilliant. So that's my normal chives. I've got the oregano that you guys know and love. Every year this guy gets divided up because he gets huge. The best thing about herb beds, just when you touch things, the smell. We've got some rosemary, just a little tiny guy, because it was another one that didn't survive that winter, was my big rosemary bush. So I'm back to having nice little ones again. This little guy's new this year. This is lemon thyme. I had no intentions of getting lemon thyme. I just touched it by accident in the shop and the smell is stunning, which I'm hoping is going to be a good thing. Kate's not a fan of standard thyme. She thinks it's overpowering, but this one I think is going to add something else. Just the lemon off it is amazing, so I'm really looking forward to trying this out. I've also got some little tarragon cuttings because I'm just testing. My tarragon does amazing in the greenhouse and I wondered, what would it be like outdoors? I fully expect it to die and not survive the winter, but I'm going to give it a try. So I've got some wee cuttings in here. Parsley, because Kate loves her parsley. And this one, this is my garlic chives. These are my favourite chives to eat. Slightly different, these ones, standard, it's a nice round leaf on here you guys will be familiar with. The garlic chives, it's a flat blade. It's like grass, but these taste stunning. So this is another change then. A switch up, it's a new herb bed, but only some of the herbs in it are new, but it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. And it's going to be gorgeous scents for when we sit here on a nice sunny evening. This is my favourite at the minute. Oh, can't wait to try it out and maybe some nice chicken or something. Oh. Got my list. Okay, come on then. April, what's your favourite bit in the garden for me to show them then? My seedlings! To the greenhouse! Ooh, these are pretty. Oh, look! Actual blossom! Okay then, before I take you in and I give you a quick update on all the seedlings, including Kate's apple trees. we haven't really spoken about these guys much because we only got them last year, which means there wasn't really anything to talk about. Now, granted, these are a type called columnar trees. The idea being they will just grow like this. They won't get big and bushy like a normal tree. They're also on dwarfing rootstock because we wanted to be able to grow them in pots. Because I've said before, it may seem like we have heaps of growing space here, but we actually use all of the good growing space we have already. So I didn't have anywhere to add fruit trees to, because an awful lot of our garden just doesn't get enough light for something like a fruit tree. Here, however, I thought we could try it, and it'll do a couple of things. We can grow them in pots, which means they can be moved around or whatever if it doesn't work. This is one of the sunnier spots of the garden. It gets some morning light and it gets all of the afternoon and evening light, so lots of sunlight. Hopefully as well, once they're all full of leaves, they might even offer a little bit of shade for the greenhouse. We'll see. But this will be their second year. So we got one blossom on this tree last year. It obviously didn't take because you need 2 apple trees to pollinate. But also for anyone going, oh, but it was only its first year. Haha. These types of trees, you can get apples in your first year or even your second year. So it's a bit of a we'll wait and see how happy they are. Now, last year we had them in smaller pots just to let them get established into the garden. And over the winter, we've potted them up into these bigger pots. Again, slowly we're letting them get happy where they are in the garden and settle before next year we'll pot them into their final bigger pots again. Okay, we're doing this carefully, we're taking time, we're not rushing them, we're not stressing the trees. But we're quite excited because, as Kate said, there is heaps of blossom coming out. Hundreds and hundreds of percents more than last year. So, you know what, even if we get 1 apple, it'll be awesome. Getting your own apples will be so exciting. So the type of tree it is then, so I said they're columnar and they're on dwarfing rootstock. It's a Falstaff apple tree, and I went with those because they tend to blossom a bit later, and given that we can get frosts here right up until June, I thought going with something that blossoms later is maybe a safe bet, because if those blossoms get trashed, no apples. Okay, let's pop into the greenhouse and I'll show you Kate's seedlings and I'll talk you through some of mine as well. Let's go. So welcome then to one very full greenhouse. Now, behind me are some of Kate's seedlings, which I will show you because she's so proud of them. And to be honest, she's got every right to be. But I'm hoping you can see the majority of what's going on, so I'll quickly tell you about things. Onions. A lot of you guys have been growing your onions along with me, and you know that this year was my first year doing it from seed rather than sets. Now, not just onions, I had a major issue with damping off this year, and I lost loads of my onions. Almost all of them, to be honest. So I've only got a couple of little trays worth down here at the bottom. And to be honest, it's not even the original ones that I sowed with you guys. I had to do a second sown, so they're probably much smaller than what you've got going in your greenhouse. However, our awesome friend Lindsay, who you guys know because she's on Instagram and she's, we've chatted about her a lot, but she turned up with some of her spare seedlings for us. So she saved us, and you can see the difference. Hers probably look more like yours, don't they? So I will at least have onions this year. Hurrah! And I'm kind of very much at the minute, I'm watching the weather because I'd like to get these out in the garden. So I know onions are hardy, but I'm thinking how hardy are their seedlings though? So I'm a bit, but we'll see. It's just, if I can get them out in the garden, it'll give me some space in here because it's full. What I also have then, up here I have got my little basil seedlings. I only sowed these last week, so these are coming on. I've got my little red basil here and my little standards. Can't wait to get these going. Snapdragons, I totally forgot to sow these, so I only sowed them last week, so they're teeny tiny. So yeah, fingers crossed I get snapdragons this year. I've got some random cut and come again, salady stuff. What else? Lots of dahlias. Now I'm trying to think, what will you guys know about? Oh yeah. Quick update for you. These are my single seed challenge. Gazania, and this is the little pepper from Robin's Pepper Seeds. Names. Tigger. You know who you are that suggested Tigger. Brilliant name. So this is a tiger stripe Gazania. He will be known as Tigger. This is Peppy the Pepper. So chuffed with these guys. I'll do you a proper update where we'll actually take them out and we'll look at the roots and everything, because that was my idea, single seed challenge for these. Now I've also got loads. I've got like some spinach going on up here as well. I'm doing a bit of an experiment with that. I put some out in the beds with a cloche on it to just see if it will survive, because I need space. It's full in here. I've no space. Lots more little dahlias coming up all over here. But you guys watched Kate and I sow petunias together. It was the first time she'd ever sown seeds. But she didn't just sow petunias. So we do have, let me see if I can grab you some. Lots of teeny tiny little petunia seedlings. So not quite handleable yet, but not long. And it just shows you, if you go and buy petunias from your garden centre just now, they'll be huge. But trust me, these are going to be awesome this year. Everything, this month is it, everything starts to catch up this month. Trust me. But we also sowed some other stuff. So Kate sowed all of the cosmos for the garden this year, and she sowed some zinnias. And that's all behind me, and she's so proud. Check this out, guys. This is Kate's candy stripe cosmos. Looking awesome. She did some little Casanova whites. These are little dwarf ones. I'm quite excited about them. And this is a first for us in our garden. This is zinnia. These are Kate's little zinnia babies. Everything is doing great. And I think this is giving her a bug. She comes in every day and she talks to them. She just does this. And I can hear her, if I'm over at the back door, I can hear her speaking to them. So yeah, quite exciting in here. These, you can see here, these are Bidens. I'm a massive fan of Bidens, and I tried to get seeds this year and I just couldn't. So I went and bought some plants from our favourite garden centre, because I love these guys. And again, these all died over winter. Although I should have brought them in. They're not hardy, I just forgot. So I've got some more going. But yeah, now I deliberately haven't updated you on the tomatoes, and I know you're desperate to know, but the video I did with Scott and our whole tomato journey is about to come out. We're just finishing it off, so you'll get an update then. But just to let you know, this week, if you're doing a grow along with Eli and you're sowing tomatoes to go outdoors, that's what I'm doing this week. So I'm not sure if I'll get it done in a video for you guys, but I will certainly at least do an update with you, because it's important. When you see in the video with Scott, you'll see how small my tomato plants are, my seedlings. And I know some people were shocked, because the last few years I've been growing them early with heat and light, so they were huge at this time of year. I'm growing them without any of that this year. They're just here in the greenhouse, so they're still very small. But I'm not worried, because I know this month is when they take off, and I can prove it to you, because I've got loads of videos and photos and stuff from previous years. Aha. Okay, that was mid-April here in our gorgeous Scottish garden.